Okay. Okay, Charmaine.
Yes.
You moderate.
All right. Thank you. Hello, everyone, and thank you for waiting. Again, welcome all of you to today's Media Roundtable exclusively for our Asia-Pacific media friends. So needless to say, we're super excited to have our German midfielder, IIkay Gundogan, joining all of us today. I'm sure all of you can't wait to speak to him. Before we start, may I ask everyone who just joined to put yourself on mute first, and then please feel free to unmute yourself when it comes to your turn to ask questions. So Gündogan, this is your first time joining our media roundtable with the media friends in Asia Pacific on behalf of FC Barcelona. We have 11 media friends here today. Would you like to say hello and wish them a happy year of the dragon, and then we'll start the interview right away?
Yes, first of all, excuse me for the small delay. Training was a bit longer, but I'm pleased to be here with you guys. Thanks for joining. Looking forward to some great questions, and yeah, wish everyone a happy new year of the dragon.
Great, thank you, Noan. So I guess everyone can hear him well? All good? No problem, right? Okay, cool. So without further ado, let's start our first question. From South China Morning Post in Hong Kong. Paul, please, over to you.
Hi, Ilkay. It's good to speak to you.
Hi.
There's a big push over here in Asia to try to make the Asian Champions League a real marquee event in the image of the UEFA Champions League, but having real issues establishing it as a major tournament, and FIFPro recently said the competition is unsustainable in its current form. So as somebody with as much Champions League experience as you, I think you played nearly 100 games in the competition, what would you say the Asian Champions League should be copying that the UEFA Champions League is doing? And is there anything that you would say they should not be copying?
Honestly, I'm not a big fan of copying. I think every competition has its own charm. Obviously, for us in Europe, it's the UEFA Champions League. You know, it's personally something that I grew up with. You know, and watching the games midweek. You know, it was always amazing and exciting for me. You know, growing up as a kid and a teenager. That's why I cannot say much about the Asian Champions League, because I feel like I'm maybe right now starting to watch a little bit more because of the likes like Cristiano Ronaldo, you know, and playing in the competition right now and getting these kind of players and talents, you know, which obviously brings also more attention from Europe. But I guess, you know, for the people in Asia, it's already a big thing, you know, I suppose. I'm not sure, actually, I can just guess, but I guess it's already, you know, a great competition. It's just different culture, you know, different people behind it. It's on a different place in the world at the end of the day. So it attracts a bit more attention from that part of the world. But I think especially, you know, like with the teams, you know, making a big effort in getting more and more talent also from Europe, you know, over there. I feel like the attention from Europe especially is increasing as well.
Sure, thank you.
Paul, would you like to ask your second question, or that's it from your side?
Of course, no. I'll ask the second now, if that's okay. Hong Kong fans obviously love seeing big European clubs coming and playing over here on the various tours they have, and some of these tours are very successful, and some, as we've seen recently, are not particularly. But from a player's side, I mean, I appreciate you have to travel so much. What needs to happen to make these tours successful for a player and successful for fans at the same time?
I think you know, organization is the key. Obviously, it's a far trip, you know, from Europe over there, and especially if you, in just a short amount of time, if you visit more than a couple of places, you know, and I don't know, maybe you have games in 3 different cities, 3 different countries, and you're just there for, I don't know, 10 days. it makes the trip sometimes really difficult. I personally had that also from my experience. You know, it felt for me, I was only traveling in between the games, you know, and just playing the games. So obviously, as an athlete, you go there and you're really looking forward to it, you know, because you get to see countries and get to see the fans, football fans from different countries with their culture, and get to know it. But sometimes you travel just so much, and it's not always easy, you know, to actually also learn about it, you know, and enjoy it. So obviously, a thing that would make it probably much easier would be to go in just maybe one place, you know, or maximum couple of places, and to restrict a little bit, you know, the traveling in between, because the trip out already there is so far, and with the time difference. And that makes it sometimes for us players, very challenging, because at the end of the day, it's a pre-season also, and obviously we want to prepare also ourselves, our physical conditions as good as possible to offer the football fans over there also the best quality of football at the end of the day.
Great, thank you very much, Ilkay.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Paul. So next one, may I have Mr. Wu from Titan Sports from China, please?
Hi, IIkay.
Can
you hear me?
Yes, I can hear.
Okay. Thank you so much. And my first question, I'm Hao Yu from Titan Sports China. So my first question is, you came to Barcelona last summer as a player who has just won the Champions League as a captain. So there are lots of young players in the Barcelona's team. So do you think you are playing a role of leadership here in Barcelona? And which young player in Barcelona have left the most impression in your heart? Thank you so much.
Well, I mean, obviously, with the experience that I already had in my career, you know, and with the titles that I've won, but also maybe the downs that I had throughout my career with injuries, with losing important games. You know, I have seen a lot in my career so far. And that obviously makes me automatically someone that can pass on something to the younger players, to the younger generation at the end of the day. For me, it's always you know, leading by your actions and not so much your words, which makes it also for me a little bit more easy here, because of the communication with the Spanish. It's not perfect yet, but I feel like, you know, when especially the younger players, when they see my behavior, you know, how I treat them, how I treat the staff around the team, how I go out for the training, you know, how I am on the pitch, how I want to win the games. I feel like this is also for them the most important thing, you know, seeing actually how I am and how I am as a character, and what I also am ready to sacrifice for success. And obviously, we have a squad with a lot of young players with a lot of potential and also already quality. And I feel like it's my responsibility also, you know, to try to pass on the things that are important to me, or that were important to me in my career so far, to pass it on to them, to help them to develop as much as possible. And I mean, at the end of the day, we have, as I said, we have so many young talents, you know, so many young players. And I feel like, especially this season, you know, the likes of Lamine Yamal, of Pedri, Gavi in the start of the season, you know, unfortunately getting injured, but they already showed how much potential they have, and they are still so young, you know, and there's still a lot to learn and a lot of things that they can actually improve, but they are already playing on such a high level. So I feel like, the future for this club in terms of talent, in terms of players that come out of La Masia, is very bright.
Thank you, IIkay. So my second question will about the German national team. You know, Toni Kroos has just announced he will return to the German national team to play, and he will play in the European Cup this summer. The German team will be the host of the European Cup. So do you think it's the good news of Toni Kroos will return of the team, and what kind of help can Toni Kroos bring to this German team, do you think? Thank you so much.
I'm really looking forward to him returning, because at the end of the day, we have to see the facts, and the fact is that he is a quality player, you know, and he's someone who has so much experience and is my age also at the end of the day. So he's not like, I don't know, he's not 36, 37, 38. So he's still playing on top level, you know, on the highest possible level. And he has proven that, you know, every single season, and is still doing it. So I think it gives us a lot of quality, a lot of experience, and I think he will be a great help.
Thank you so much, IIkay.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Wu. Next one, the paper from China. Mr. Pu, please.
Hi, everyone. Hi, IIkay. Thank
Hi.
you very much. My first question is that as we see, the Barca's performance is a little bit struggling in La Liga, but in the Champions League, the team is striving to reach the last eight. So I want to know, how do you think of this season so far, and what is your goal for the rest of the season? Thank you.
Obviously, it was a season full of up and downs for us. A lot of things that were good, a lot of things that we still can improve. But now entering, you know, the crucial period of the season, I feel like there's still a lot to prove and a lot of things to gain and to win. So we know that there's a gap in the league. We should focus on not trying to look so much at the table. Instead, I feel like looking at our games, and we have really difficult games coming up now in the league. So just try to win, you know, try to win for the next game. Always prepare yourself in midweek into the best possible condition to have the highest chances to win at the weekend. And we started that process already a bit ago, and I feel like we are better, we are improving, we are getting there. So it's challenging, and same counts for the Champions League. We had a really good performance actually away in Napoli. Got a good result. Could have got maybe a better one, yes. But I feel like still in a knockout game, you know, a 1-1 away as the first leg is a good result. And we only have to finish the job, you know, at home. And then we are in the quarterfinals. So again, still a lot of things to play for, and a lot of things to look forward to. And yeah, as I said, now getting into that decisive part of the season, obviously is also for the player, you know, is the most exciting thing.
Thank you. My second question is about the coach Xavi. He had announced his departure at the end of the season. So what is your impression of this coach, who also is a legend of the club Barca?
Well, for me, he was the main man, you know, to get me here into the club. So obviously it's gonna be sad, you know, seeing him leaving at the end of the season. Because I feel like he has great personality, you know, he's a great coach, and yeah, there's still so many things to play for, but of course we respect it and accept it, and I feel like the best thing we can do right now is just play as good as possible, you know, to make it for him, you know, and to try to get the best possible results in the last games of the season, because I'm sure that is what will make him the most happy.
Okay, thank you, IIkay. Good luck.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Poole. So next one, the Straits Times from Singapore. Depend, please.
Hi, IIkay. Just want to ask, you know, with Xavi, Jurgen Klopp, and Thomas Tuchel leaving at the end of the season, do players actually talk amongst themselves about who they would like to see come in as the next coach? What kind of qualities should the next Barca manager have?
I mean, we talk in general about football a lot, to be honest. And of course, if the coach announces to leave, we are talking mainly about the coach, you know, and his decision. Every player differently, to be honest. Some more, some less. But we are not really talking about who's gonna come, because at the end of the day, it's something not really in our hands, you know. And we are just trying to focus on training well and winning football games. And I think that's the best you can do in this moment right now, you know. Obviously, we're going to see what's going to happen after the season or in the next few weeks. I don't know. But again, because it's not in our responsibility, it's something that also doesn't make much sense, you know, to talk about, at least for me, you know, for myself. And sorry, what was the other question?
What qualities do you think that a Barca manager should have?
I mean, I think there's a certain DNA, you know, in this club, and a certain idea of how the people, the fans, they want us playing football. And I'm sure that the people who are responsible for these kind of big decisions are aware of it. And I think the best thing we can do right now is trust in them, because I'm sure they will take the right decision. And then we'll see what's going to happen.
All right, my second question was about Germany. Of course, it's been a tough time for the German national team, and how crucial is the Euro 2024 in terms of gaining back the support from the people of Germany? You know, given the recent performances, you know, are the players feeling the pressure of trying to deliver happiness again to the German people?
I think it's a great opportunity for us as the hosts as well, you know, in our own country. And I personally, as an example, remember the World Cup in 2006, you know, in Germany, and I was just a teenager. I was 15 years old, and I remember, you know, the atmosphere, the people from all over the world, you know, in our country, you know, and celebrating football. A great fest at the end of the day as well, you know, throughout these 4 weeks, this month, you know. And this is what I really hope, you know, for that tournament as well. And on top of that, obviously, having the responsibility to be successful with the German team. And I feel like we are there, you know, we just need some little fixing. And honestly, we can be there, you know, we can have a successful tournament. So obviously we have now a few more months left. Not many opportunities to get together, just in March and then just before the tournament. But we will try to make the best out of it, you know, and we will try to make our people in our country happy, because what would be better for the German national team than playing a successful tournament, you know, in your own country as well.
All right, thank you, Depen. Next one, Number Magazine from Japan. Mr. Shin, please.
Hi, Gundo. How are you? All right?
Hi, I'm good, thanks. Shane, how are you?
All right. So my first question is about Take Kubo of Real Sociedad. He's really doing good this season. So what's your thought on him? How do you think about him?
Yeah, I think he's a very gifted player. He is doing very well, very agile, you know, very technically on a very high level. You can see that from his movements, from the playing style, that he's a very smart player as well, and very influential for the game. I mean, Japanese players in general, you know, and me having played against them, not just in the World Cup, also after the World Cup, the last World Cup, in a friendly game, where they beat us both times. You can see that they are a team full of talents, you know, very well educated, very well football schooled, and very smart, physically very good. They are just growing and growing and growing, and I feel like he's playing an amazing season. And especially when we played away, you know, at Real Sociedad, I feel like it was a very tough game for us, and obviously he was a big part of it as well.
So the second one is the other player, Kaoru Mitoma of Brighton. I think having played against him in the World Cup and the friendly game, how do you think about him? He's really special on one situation.
Yeah, not just in the World Cup and the friendly game, also in the Premier League, obviously in the last couple of years. I feel like he was, especially last year. When I was there, it was obviously a bit easier to follow. I feel like he was outstanding. He just came suddenly out of nowhere. I don't know if he was. I think he was an unknown somewhere. Brighton bought him, and then he gave him away on loan for a year, I think, or a couple of years, and then he just came back. And he just played like already a world-class player, to be honest. And I think he had a couple of injuries now recently. I think he was not so fit. But I'm sure he will get back. And again, similar to what I've said about Kubo, very paceful, and agile and skillful and smart player. That's the type of winger, especially, that you want to have in your team, because they can make with one action the difference. And yeah, this is the player every manager, I feel like, would love to have in his team. And again, he's maybe not so young anymore, but he's in the middle of his best period, and he still has a lot of years to play. And yeah, I wish him to stay healthy and to perform as he did in the last couple of years.
Fantastic. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Shin. Next one, 442 from Korea. Miss Kim, please.
Hi, Ilkay. Nice to
Hi.
see you.
Nice to see you. Hi.
Okay. Okay, so first of all, as a footballer, you seem to be actively involved in social contribution activities and helping others. So what motivates you, and what is the mindset behind these actions?
I think I think it's a responsibility that you have also to society, because obviously we are very privileged human beings, as football players. We earn good money, we have a good life, we can take care of our loved ones, and I just feel like that helping others who are not that privileged, who maybe not got the same chances I got, when I grew up, is important, to pass something on, because in life it's not just about yourself, it's not me. It's also to look around what's going on in the world, actually. And when I do things, when I try to help somewhere, it's mostly things that I can identify myself with. As someone who has Turkish roots, as an example, I love to help my people in Turkey, when there was the earthquake, as an example, to help there. But I was born in Germany and grew up in Germany, so obviously I like to help my old little childhood football team, as an example. My former teams where I played, in the cities that I participated, whether it's in Nuremberg, where I got my first professional contract, whether it is in Manchester, where I got to meet great people, and help the community there a little bit. So everything I do with purpose, and I do with the people that I know and that I, again, can identify myself with, because I know them, because I got to see it, all the different projects. And yeah, at the end of the day, you want to help as much as you can. And that is, I feel like, a responsibility for everyone that is privileged.
Okay, so also you have been in Spain since last summer. What do you find the most significant difference compared to your time at Manchester City and Premier League in terms of football? Thank you.
Well, it's a bit difficult to compare, because actually it's difficult, but it's easy also on one side, because obviously when you compare my last years at Manchester City with right now, it's very difficult, because you start at just a different point. When you compare my time when I joined Man City in 2016, I've joined actually the start of a project, because Pep Guardiola joined the same year as me, and a lot of things changed, and you kind of started at zero. And I feel like that's a starting point here right now as well, at least for myself. You know, I'm leading a team that I was 7 years part of, and obviously the last years we were on top, you know, and we knew each other. We knew all the things about the club. We were together for a few years, you know, so not many changes. So everything was a little bit easier. Obviously, right now it feels like a start again, you know, for myself. And obviously, with every start, there comes challenges, you know, and steps that you have to go through. So yeah, I feel like we are there, and the starting point actually is quite good. Maybe even better when I've joined City in 2016, because we are doing well. We want to do better in the future. We want to improve, but you have to start at one point. And yeah, it's difficult to compare. But on one side, it's also kind of easy, and I see a lot of similarities, you know, in my career, at least when I've joined City in 2016 and when I've joined Barcelona in the last summer. And I knew the steps that you have to go through and that you have to work through. And yeah, we are on the way, and this is a process, but we are trying to develop and improve as much as possible.
Okay, thank you very much.
Welcome.
Thank you, Ms. Kim. Next one, we'll have Hindustan Times from India. Demand, please.
Yeah, hi Ilkay, thank you for doing this.
Hi.
And my question would be, you know, you've seen the development of Phil Foden pretty much up close in 7 years, and then you come to Barcelona, you're playing with Lamine Yamal. Both of them play pretty much on the somewhat on the right side. Also, they can play on the left. Foden also plays center. So, how does the development of Phil Foden compare with what you're seeing Lamine Yamal go through in the 1 year that you spent here?
It's actually very similar. I feel like for Lamine, maybe it might be a bit more difficult because he already takes a lot more responsibility, you know, with the age of 16. He's playing a lot more games than when Phil was 16. I think Phil didn't even start to train all the sessions with us, you know, when he was 16. I think he started when he was 17, or maybe even 18. So for him, maybe it was a little bit easier in terms of responsibility because we had a quite big squad also, you know, at Man City with competition on his position also that was quite difficult. But in terms of management, I feel like what Pep or how Pep managed Phil and how Xavi is managing right now Lamine, I think they're both obviously a bit different, but they are doing an excellent job. I feel like, you know, because they try to take as much as pressure, you know, from both of them. And on the other side, these kind of players also grow, you know, when they play at the end of the day, you know, the training sessions, you know, when they have to compete already in training sessions, you know, and toughen up, but then also, you know, to give them the chance also in the games. And obviously, again, Lamine is on a different level because he's playing a lot of games already, also 90 minutes, which Phil didn't do. But as I know Lamine, it's going to help him because he has a great attitude, a great character, very calm, down to earth, humble guy, and he knows how to judge that. And now with Rafinha having fit again, you know, I feel like it's going to be also a good competition for him. And this is what you need at the end of the day as well. You know, he needs to have the feeling, even though he's 16, he's still a teenager, but he needs to have the feeling that he has to compete, you know, and nothing is going to be gifted for him. And this kind of mentality will develop him even more and better. And I'm sure he will come very, very far in his career.
Well, thank you. My second question is, you know, great teams are great teams because they transition well. They transition from one generation to another. Do you see Xavi's departure as a chance for Barcelona to write a new chapter? Because most of the players and the staff, which were very successful from the time of Rijkaard to now, are now no longer part of Barcelona. Do you see this as a chance to write a new chapter away from the generation that achieved a lot?
You know, I think it's always what you make out of these kind of situations. So obviously changes are part of football, you know, whether it's coaches, whether it's players, you know, it's always happening. So you have to deal with what's happening at the present moment at the end of the day, and make the best out of the situation. So that's obviously something that is in next season, you know, and that's going to happen in next season. So it's very difficult to tell right now, and something that honestly I also don't really like to talk about, because we are still in a present season, you know, we are still in the middle of it, you know, coming towards the end of it, and having, you know, like really difficult games, and a lot of things that I said before also, you know, a lot of things to play for, and also, you know, to win. So I prefer to stay in this season, you know, and focus on the games right now, and everything else that's gonna come after is something that we will deal afterwards. At least we players, you know, because that's easy for us, because it's not our responsibility to decide what's gonna happen with the future of the club. That's in other people's hands. So on one side, it's also quite easy for us, because all we need to focus on is what's happening on the pitch.
Thank you, Ilkay. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you, Diman. So next one, over to Kompas Daily from Indonesia. Iksan, please.
Okay, thank you, Charmaine. Hello, Gundo. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam. Hi. I'm good, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Gundo, you have played many great young talents, like you said before, in the city, with Barcelona, and also with the national team. So do you think what the difference between them, the young talents recent day, with the players in your generation, in terms of their change of play and also the development process?
Honestly, I feel like maybe the main thing is that the younger players right now, you know, the pressure probably that they have to deal with from coming from outside, you know, because obviously now social media is a very big thing, you know, and in my time when I was 17, 18, it was maybe just Facebook, you know, and you were there connected with your friends, and that was really it. So the only pressure you had was actually, you know, in training, you know, from your coach, from your teammates, from your friends maybe, and then in the games from the fans that were on the stadium, or a little bit, you know, the TV and stuff. But now we're having a generation full of social media, and everyone can write anything on the internet to everyone, you know, and obviously these kind of young talents, they also grow up with it, you know, and it's important for them also what's happening there. They're out of 24 hours. They spend a lot of hours, you know, on there, and look around and this and that, which I personally don't do so much, to be honest. Of course, I'm also on it, but I don't pay so much attention what's happening on there, and it's kind of dangerous as well. But as long as you can deal with it, it's just what it is, isn't it?
Okay. Okay, my second question, we know that you led City in their best era last season, and then you moved to Barcelona, which have the rebuild project with Xavi this season. And according to the process you experienced this season, do you think Barcelona already the right fit to become the dominant club in Europe and the world like it was a decade ago?
Sorry, the connection was a bit weak. Do you think Barcelona can be what? Sorry, I didn't understand that.
Yeah. Do you think Barcelona already in the right way to become the dominant club in Europe? It was a decade ago.
Well, as I said before, I feel like we are in the start of a process still, and obviously it's going to be a bumpy road. There are a lot of difficulties, a lot of challenges that you have to overcome, but I think everything is there, you know, to be back there on top, and we are not far away from it. I mean, we are still in the Champions League, you know, and we are still competing, and hopefully if you get into the quarterfinals, you know, you can see you know, where you can go to, or how far you can go at the end of the day as well. And I feel like through phases, through periods of the season, we played also quite good football, but the consistency is still missing, you know. And consistency is obviously a very big thing in football. You have to prove yourself every 3-4 days, you know. Every game, people expect you on the highest level, on top of your game, and when you're at the start, it's obviously much more difficult to show consistency than when you are already on a more developed point of your project. But we will try to get there as quick as possible. We will do everything to be successful as quick as possible, as much as possible as well, and hopefully it's gonna turn out quite quickly for us.
Thank you. Good.
Welcome.
Thank you, theSun. So next one, go.com from Indonesia. Dede, please.
Hi, IIkay. It's great to be able to talk to you.
Hi.
Despite your great performances and huge contribution on the pitch, you recently actually made 100 chances in Europe this season so far, but still there's a general view that you are one of the most underrated players in the world, at least the view from outside of the team. Do you yourself feel that way, that you don't get enough recognition that you deserve for your big performances?
Honestly, it's not something that I really think much about. I always was the type of player that was only looking to his performances, to what's happening on the pitch, to the way he's training, and to be successful with his team, you know. From what I said before, the world is changing a little bit. I mean, social media is a big thing, marketing is a big thing. So obviously, off the pitch, you can also gain a lot of points and a lot of credibility in our modern world. I know that's part of the game, but it's not something that I really feel like is important, you know. At the end of the day, I want to be recognized by the way I play football, and for me, recognition is when I'm successful with my team. And individual performances, I know that they are very important, but they are very important because also a lot of other things play a big role in it. So no, for me, it's only about the football side, the way I compete, the way I perform, and everything else, I am okay with it.
My second question is about your experience with the national team. Previously, you mentioned that you lost twice against Japan, but not only them, Germany also lost against Korea in the World Cup 2018. What impressed you the most about these two teams in particular? Something that perhaps some common traits that these both teams share, perhaps that made you think, oh man, these Asians are so good at this thing, you know, that differentiates them from, let's say, European teams in general?
I think the most impressive thing about these two teams are that they really play as a team. I feel like there are no egos in the teams. There's no one like who wants to be the main man. They are very well organized always. They play very disciplined, you know, very humble. So they just work for each other, you know, and sacrifice themselves for each other. And that makes these kind of teams very dangerous, because to break through these kind of teams, it's not easy, it's tough. And their work rate is high, and on the other side, they are very talented, you know, and very physically, very always in a very good condition. So that makes these kind of teams always difficult to play against.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you, Dede. So next up, over to theSun from Malaysia. Hasik, please.
Thank you, Charmaine. Hello, Gündogan.
Hi.
So my question is, with Xavi announcing his departure at the end of the season, what does this mean for your future at the club? Even though you signed a 2-year deal, will you be following or will you wait to see the new coach plan for the next season? Thank you.
At the moment, it doesn't change anything, to be honest. I mean, I committed myself last summer for at least 2 years plus another year. So nothing has changed. And it's also not really worth to talk about what the new coach is going to plan or what his thoughts are about my situation or whatever, because it's something that didn't happen yet. So that's why I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to contribute, in the best possible way to the team, and yeah, enjoying my life in football for this club.
All right. So my second question is, as you are one of the older ones in the team, what steps do you take to fit in that youth-filled midfield? Thank you.
What steps that I fit in the midfield, you said?
Yeah, what steps do you take to fit in the younger generation on the midfield position?
What I can pass on to that. Yeah. Well, similar to how I answered that before, actually, I feel like to play in midfield, it's a very specific. I mean, for me at least, one of the difficult positions to play in, because everything is happening around you. So whether you're facing the opponent goal, whether you're facing your own goal, there's always people 360 around you. So obviously, scanning what's happening around you is very important to me, and to knowing already before you get the ball or before an action starts. I feel like it's very important that you know and you are aware of what's happening around you. Awareness is a very big thing, and to make things at the end of the day as easy as possible for you as well. So I always try to stay calm. I always try to be technically on point. Be very precise in all the actions, and to make life as easy as possible for my teammates on the pitch. To be always on point and to play perfect in the most simple way of how you can play, actually. And I feel like my teammates know that, and I feel like that I'm also quite good in that, and that they see it also. And hopefully this is something as an example that I can, pass on to them, and that they can maybe feel like, that's something that I can work on, and maybe take him as an example, and yeah, make just things easier for myself and for my teammates.
Thank you, Hasik. So last but not least, Jupiter Football from Singapore. June, please.
Hi, IIkay.
Hi.
So Barcelona is now third in La Liga. So, I mean, apart from Girona and Real Madrid, in your opinion, so what are the other teams that could seriously pose a threat to stop Barcelona from winning the title?
In general, or this season, you mean? In general, right?
General, yeah.
I mean, obviously there's Atletico Madrid. They have a great team. They have obviously also, I mean, the history also shows that they're always able, to compete on the highest possible level, winning the league, or whether it's competing in the Champions League, getting into the final. So that they're always dangerous, and they always make it uncomfortable for you. Another example is a team that's coming up right now, an away trip that is very difficult for us, and a team that is on top of his game right now with Athletic Bilbao. Very tough side to play. They beat us in the Copa in extra time. So very, very intense team, physically very strong, but also technically very gifted with an incredible philosophy also, of the club. So yeah, that's a real test for us right now also, for Sunday. And it feels like that they can also push, for at least top 4 to get into the Champions League. and it looks like that the last few match days of this league will be very exciting.
Okay, so we are from Asia. So I mean, like you have mentioned before, you have played against Japan a few times, in fact, not so long ago. So we would like to know, like, what is your thoughts and impression on Asian football?
Well, I feel like it's really developing, you know, and especially in this last 2-3 years, you see a breakthrough. Obviously, when I was younger, when I was a teenager, as an example, or when I was just starting, you know, my career, people in Germany talked about a very young Asian talent with Heung-min, you know, starting in the Bundesliga, you know, and impressing on the highest level, a player from South Korea, you know, and if you just look at his career as an example, he's still playing, you know, on such a top level throughout all these years, and he had some amazing clubs on the way, you know, along the way, and again, a massive, I think, figure for Asian football. And now in these last 2-3 years, especially, you know, also having these players from Japan, as an example, competing on the highest level, even Saudi Arabia, you know, beating Argentina in the last World Cup. I feel like there is already a boom, but I only feel like this is the start of it, and it's gonna get even bigger, in my opinion, because that region, you know, is really pushing, and pushing with talents, especially. And I think now the key is to how to develop these talents in the best possible way. And I see it's very, very exciting, and I will keep following that process.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
All right, thanks, June. So I think we did not miss anyone, right? Okay, cool. So thank you, Gündogan, and thanks everyone again. Appreciate your time, and please feel free to reach out to me if you need any help. So this is the end of today's media roundtable. Have a good day, Gündogan, and have a good Friday evening, our media friends. Thank you so much. We hope to speak to you again soon.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.